Do you believe in demons now?
Still do, yeah.
Do you?
For sure.
They might be real.
Well, you know, the Irish, for some reason, we love wakes. We like to see people when they're dead.
Everyone could look in and see what they have. So there's always been speculation that they have some wild shit written down in there.
Yeah, some wild stuff. I mean, they're investigating aliens.
Forbidden knowledge, secrets buried deep within the Vatican archives, things they don't want you to see. A chilling discovery that challenges everything we thought we knew about reality. Something scary is happening, and the truth might be more terrifying than you can imagine. What if everything you thought you knew about the world was wrong? Prepare yourself. There's something scary happening, and the Vatican doesn't want you to know. Puppet for the Illuminati. The Vatican's influence and wealth have long fueled conspiracy theories, with some suggesting it serves as a puppet for the Illuminati or a similar secret organization. The argument stems from the Vatican's far-reaching diplomatic relationships with nearly every country in the world, combined with its enormous wealth. Critics claim this makes it an ideal cover for orchestrating global events. The Vatican's position as both a religious institution and a sovereign state allows it to operate in a unique capacity, leading some to believe it acts as a channel for covert operations rather than just a spiritual hub. Adding to the suspicion is the Vatican's wealth, which remains largely tax-free due to its sovereign status. Allegations suggest the Vatican owns over 5,000 commercial properties worldwide, with a significant portion located in some of the world's most affluent areas. Moreover, these holdings reportedly generate millions of dollars in profit each year, raising questions about whether the Vatican is operating as a religious institution or as a highly lucrative investment firm. Critics argue this immense financial power could be used to influence global agendas from behind the scenes.
And what explanations do we have? Like, what's the conventional explanations when people try to dismiss?
Especially because it often keeps to itself and seldom takes a public stand on issues of global import. The Vatican brought into increased focus the theory of Illuminati control over the institution. To others, the silence indicates something dubious. Perhaps Vatican leaders are pushing an agenda in alignment with an unseen but powerful organization. This speculation is given more legs with historical ties to secret societies, Western as well as Arab. Either way, such connections, real or imagined, make the Vatican a very convenient focus point for conspiracy theories about hidden global influence.
Very old version of those exact same stories, or some of similar stories.
Yeah.
Whether or not a person believes these claims, there is no doubt that the unusual mix of wealth, secrecy, and political power guarantees that the Vatican is as much an object of skepticism as every other. To put it differently, while an Illuminati control scheme might sound terribly far-fetched, the ambiguity of the Vatican's dealings and financial dealings seems to add to the aura of mystery that already surrounds this institution. Be it real or not, the whole fairy tale of the Vatican as puppet for shadowy organization emphasizes how brilliant minds are nestled in admiration for the mysterious power structures within this time-honored institution. If you think this Vatican secret is shocking, just wait until you uncover the next one. 200 deaf boys. The allegations of abuse surrounding the Vatican reached a shocking level with the case of nearly 200 deaf boys reportedly molested by a single priest.
They gotta be. There's gotta be external forces around. I can't imagine that all this energy in your body goes to nowhere. I don't buy it.
This horrific scandal gained widespread attention when Joe Rogan called out Pope Benedict XVI for failing to act against the priest involved. Instead of removing the priest, the Vatican allegedly protected him, raising serious questions about the institution's priorities. Rogan cited credible sources to support his claims.
The first time I really felt, like when I saw, well, you know, the Irish, for some reason, we love wakes. We like to see people when they're dead.
Revealing that many high-ranking Vatican officials were aware of the abuse, but chose not to take decisive action. This case highlights a disturbing pattern within the Vatican of shielding individuals accused of heinous crimes. Rogan went so far as to describe the Vatican as a pedophiles cult, pointing to systemic efforts to protect abusive priests rather than their victims. The institution's decision to ignore or minimize such allegations only fuels public outrage, as these actions seem to prioritize the Church's image over accountability and justice.
And he moved one to a place where they molested 100 deaf kids.
What?
Yes.
This case is one of many that expose the Vatican's failures in handling abuse within its ranks. Besides the actual abuse, the handling of the entire scandal by the Vatican attracted even more criticism. The priest in question was assisted by the Vatican officials in continuing his work, rather than being defrocked or held accountable by the Church. It was indeed a culture of impunity that it promoted, especially for its priests, against whom such serious allegations were laid.
And the story is fucking wild.
Yeah, it's called Vatican
Girl.
I just Googled it 2 days ago. It says they've reopened the case, so I don't know.
The broad issue that Rogan raised is that such cases will be systematically covered up through transfers and internal secrecy so that the perpetrators will not have to face the real consequences. These have led to accusations that the Vatican condone abuse by its failure to address root causes. Beyond simply implicating the Church, this scandal raises important questions about the broader cultural and institutional failure that can allow such abuse to fester. Joe Rogan's commentary illuminates the weightiness of these issues, encouraging listeners to inquire about the role and responsibility of the Vatican in protecting the vulnerable. That such a scandal could occur without any action taken at the top anticipates the need for transparency and reform within the Catholic Church. A long history of abuse. The Vatican has faced intense scrutiny for its long and troubling history of abuse, marked by systemic failures to hold offenders accountable. Joe Rogan highlighted this issue in one of his podcast episodes.
Yeah, why doesn't the FBI infiltrate the Catholic Church?
Yeah. Imagine, I did a joke about it on stage a while back. I was like, imagine if...
Pointing out that hundreds, if not thousands, of priests have been accused of abusing young children over the decades. Despite the staggering number of allegations, the Vatican has often been criticized for sweeping these cases under the rug. According to official reports, since 2004, the Vatican has defrocked 848 priests for abusing children, with another 2,172 receiving lesser penalties. These figures expose a pattern of leniency toward offenders within the Church. One of the most damning aspects of this history is the Vatican's practice of transferring priests accused of misconduct to new locations rather than addressing the abuse. This systemic approach, often orchestrated by high-ranking church officials, allowed offenders to escape accountability and continue their harmful behavior in new communities. Rogan pointed out that such practices reflect a culture of protection for abusers.
Way more people are getting molested by the Catholic Church.
I couldn't agree more. And
It's a terrifying number when you look at the numbers of people that have just accused them.
Prioritizing the institution's reputation over the safety and well-being of victims. This has led to widespread public outrage and calls for greater transparency and justice within the Church. The number of abuse cases is alarming, with about 3,400 cases reported to the Vatican for abuse since 2004. This crisis, according to Rogan, is industry-wide, as he said that if similar issues were unearthed in other industry carpentry areas.
For people who are outside the Catholic faith, people who are... there's something that happened.
The world would take immediate action. This particular fact has only sailed public sentiments into greater incredulity over the institution's intent. Critics have argued that the efforts made by the Vatican to address these scandals are inadequate and usually undertaken in a reactive manner, rather than proactive when it comes to protecting vulnerable individuals. These revelations, beyond any doubt into that historical case of abuse, have many calling into question the moral authority and trustworthiness of the Vatican. Rogan's discussions now explain the size of the problem and compel listeners to call for accountability from one of the most powerful religious institutions in the world. Reform has been introduced. However, given the extent of the crisis, a lot more is needed in the area of addressing past abuses and preventing future occurrences. The future of regaining trust for the Vatican would depend on its action to meet this history with transparency, accountability, and most importantly, change. Hidden knowledge, alien secrets, and Lucifer. The Vatican is often viewed as a repository of ancient knowledge and secrets, fueling countless theories about what lies hidden within its archives. Joe Rogan has discussed the possibility that the Vatican holds information that could fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of history and religion. According to his guest, Billy Carson.
The light bearers, that what Lucifer means supposedly, but yeah, they built a telescope named Lucifer, and it's actually in America. I believe it's in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah.
The Vatican is deeply involved in investigating whether we are alone in the universe.
Is the reason why this thing exists, then
Yeah.
it creates this thing.
We're creating universes right now as human beings on this planet.
This investigation, combined with the restricted access to the Vatican archives, has led to speculation that the institution is withholding critical information about extraterrestrial life, the origins of humanity, and possibly even records that challenge religious doctrines. Among the more controversial claims is the existence of a telescope named Lucifer, built and operated by the Vatican. While the name alone has sparked debate, the telescope's purpose, allegedly to search for signs of alien life, has drawn significant attention.
They're going to be asking questions.
Right.
They're going to be creating their own software within the software and trying to build their own copy of a universe.
Rogan and his guests have questioned why a religious institution would be so invested in such research. Theories suggest that the Vatican might already possess knowledge about extraterrestrial beings or phenomena, raising questions about its true motives. The use of the name Lucifer, which means lightbringer, only adds to the intrigue and controversy surrounding the Vatican's scientific endeavors. It is speculated that this hidden knowledge theory extends to the Vatican that may know very much and hide it from the public about man's place in the universe. Carson and Rogan just have an interesting conversation where the two talk about how human understanding through technological advancement, like the Hubble and James Webb Space Telescopes, has broadened perceptions of the cosmos. Yet the Vatican could potentially divulge knowledge that predates modern discoveries.
Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti.
The Church's selective approach to divulging such findings has made many suspect that this fact hides some information that otherwise would upset the normative beliefs. This has intensified calls from scientists and researchers demanding increased transparency from the Vatican. Allied with alien research, secrecy, and the self-consciously incendiary name of the telescope fuels suspicions that the Vatican might have some agenda against the public. As Rogan's discussions point out, such an institute could really hold up a paradox in terms of venturing out to the field of science, which somehow contradicts what a divinely oriented institution engages in. Of course, some see this moving with the times, while others are asking why it has to hide research from the world. Wouldn't it want everybody to see the latest research? Whether it is advanced scientific curiosity or the protection of religious dogma, the Vatican keeps doing things that really leave a lot of people very curious and mystified, seeking answers as to the universe, and especially man's place in it. Dark secrets. The Vatican's reputation has long been shadowed by allegations of hidden scandals and systemic corruption, leading many to suspect it harbors dark secrets behind its walls. Joe Rogan has frequently delved into these controversies, questioning why such a powerful institution, known for its moral and spiritual guidance, remains immune to deeper scrutiny. Rogan points out that the Vatican's tax-exempt status,
And then the passageway that goes into the King's Chamber, the so-called King's Chamber.
despite its wealth and controversies, raises significant concerns. For example, its investment office reportedly made $50 million in profits in 2023 alone, yet the institution continues to avoid paying taxes while accumulating immense wealth. One of the most troubling aspects of the Vatican's operations is its history of abuse scandals and the systemic efforts to cover them up. Rogan highlights how the Church's refusal to hold its officials accountable contributes to its secrecy. He questions why the Vatican, with its significant resources and influence, does not face the same level of accountability as other global organizations. For instance, the relocation of priests accused of misconduct has often been used to shield them from public exposure rather than ensure justice, further fueling suspicions about the institution's priorities. They are further cloaked in mystery by the Vatican's internal regimes and access denial into its archives, which are believed to house papers that may expose even graver truths.
The Pope's longtime secretary is about to release a book this week,
Ruh-roh.
and that's why they may have invested. He says he's got information on it that's going to come out in the book.
In the words of Rogan, such an institution is an impregnable fortress because any secrecy is used to guard a vast hidden tapestry of activities, from financial loopholes to dubious decision-making processes.
The tax-free thing is wild, because when Scientology got it, you're like, yo, like, what is this?
All such practices then seal off that territory for anybody trying to grasp the full magnitude of the Vatican's reach or its likely role in world affairs. Critics, most famously Rogan, tend to cite the Vatican's own controversial artwork and architecture, which some interpret as embedding occult or sinister imagery within. The Statue of Resurrection, for instance, has been observed by skeptics to be more demonic than divine. Such artistic choices, when taken in connection with the institution's financial and ethical controversies, add substance to the idea that the Vatican hides much more than it reveals. Such pernicious secrets have turned into the basis for a lot of conspiracy theories, although they also raise in sharp relief a case for more transparency and accountability from one of the world's mightiest and most enigmatic institutions. Creepy art. The Vatican's vast collection of art is renowned for its beauty and historical significance, but some pieces have sparked controversy for their unsettling and eerie appearances. One such piece is the Statue of Resurrection, a depiction of Jesus Christ that many critics and viewers have described as demonic in nature. Its chaotic design and menacing aesthetic have led some to question the intent behind its creation. Joe Rogan and his guest Eddie Bravo pointed out that the sculpture, rather than inspiring spiritual reverence, appears to convey a sense of unease and dread, which seems out of place in a setting meant to symbolize peace and divinity. Another source of intrigue lies in the architectural features of the Vatican itself, including a design in one of its halls that resembles the profile of two serpents. With the Statue of Resurrection positioned between the snake-like structures, some have speculated that these elements might carry hidden meanings or occult symbolism. These interpretations are further fueled by the Church's long history of secrecy, which has often led to wild theories about the intent and purpose behind its artistic and architectural choices. Such imagery raises questions about whether these designs are merely artistic expressions or part of a deeper, concealed narrative. A distinction between the Vatican's function as the real heart of the Catholic Church, or indeed its rather unsettling art within its walls, has been raised by critics. Darkness or ambiguity art, for an institution that preaches about light as well as salvation, seems alien in nature. This has led some people to wonder if these artistic choices reflect an internal struggle within the Church, or maybe are said to be a hidden agenda. Rogan has brought up the fact that disturbing nature, some of the Vatican's art, has contributed not only to the actual air of mystery, but to hovering suspicion concerning the institution. Collaboration with Nazi Germany. The Vatican's role during World War II remains one of the most controversial chapters in its history, particularly the actions of Pope Pius XII, often referred to as Hitler's Pope.
It is a real joy for us to welcome you all here.
Officially, the Vatican maintained a position of neutrality throughout the war, situated as it was in the heart of fascist Italy. However, many have questioned whether this neutrality masked a deeper collaboration with Nazi Germany. Historical records suggest that Pope Pius XII had significant contact with Nazi leaders, and there is evidence that he may have facilitated escape routes for high-ranking Nazis to flee to Argentina after the war. Critics argue that the Vatican's inaction during the Holocaust raises troubling questions about its priorities and moral stance. Despite having knowledge of Nazi atrocities, the Church chose not to publicly condemn them, allegedly to protect its interests and maintain its diplomatic position. Some theorists believe Pope Pius XII may have been more than a passive observer, speculating that he strategically played both sides to secure the Vatican's influence and resources during the war. This duality has led to heated debates about whether the Vatican was complicit in Nazi crimes or simply attempting to navigate an incredibly complex geopolitical landscape. He also fueled the controversy with the exposed Vatican files in which Pope Pius XII sympathized with some points of Nazis' ideology, letters and communications from Nazi officials to the Vatican, which enthused suspicions that some church leaders actively participated in the helping of prominent Nazis from justice. Those defenders argue that his actions behind the scenes were truly aimed at helping the victims as well as maintaining the autonomy of the Church, but most of these actions or non-actions have been inferred as tacit approval of Nazi deeds by many. Hold on to your faith, because the next Vatican mystery will truly test you. Just an investment firm. The Vatican's financial operations often blur the line between a religious institution and a powerful investment firm. It is estimated that the Vatican owns over 5,000 commercial properties worldwide, with nearly 4,000 located in Italy, and the rest in some of the world's most exclusive areas. These holdings include luxury real estate, hotels, and restaurants, generating millions of dollars annually. Critics argue that such extensive business ventures raise questions about the Vatican's priorities, as its activities appear more aligned with profit-making than with serving its spiritual mission. A significant aspect of this financial empire is its tax-exempt status, which allows the Vatican to accumulate and reinvest its wealth without the financial obligations faced by other organizations. In 2023 alone, its investment office reportedly earned $50 million in profits, entirely tax-free. These financial privileges, coupled with the secrecy surrounding its operations, have led to allegations that the Vatican functions more like a corporate entity than a religious institution. Observers also question how these profits are allocated, given that the Vatican's population is minimal, and its operational expenses are relatively low compared to the revenue it generates. Satanic Rituals. The Vatican's reputation as a spiritual beacon is shadowed by persistent allegations of sinister activities, including claims of satanic rituals taking place behind closed doors. Joe Rogan has highlighted how these allegations, combined with the Vatican's immense secrecy, have fueled conspiracy theories about the institution.
If you were like the ultimate horror fiction writer, like if Stephen King bought a house in the Hollywood Hills, that was his gate.
While the Catholic Church openly denounces Satan during every baptism, critics argue that its internal controversies, ranging from abuse scandals to financial secrecy, create a foundation for these darker accusations. Such allegations often cite whistleblowers who claim to have witnessed or uncovered evidence of bizarre and occult practices involving high-ranking officials. The presence of certain architectural and artistic elements within the Vatican adds fuel to these claims. Critics have pointed to the unsettling imagery in some Vatican artwork, such as the Statue of Resurrection.
You don't see that? It's too scary for people. It's so big. They got their own country. The Vatican's basically a country.
As evidence of a hidden, darker side to the institution. These elements, combined with accusations of financial corruption and hidden archives, create a narrative that some interpret as indicative of a secret agenda. While the Church dismisses these theories as baseless, the lack of transparency in its operations perpetuates public suspicion. Such allegations would have sufficient bearing on one who finds it troubling, inasmuch as association of accusation with dignity and wealth creates suspicion. It is an interesting observation, since the financial resources of the Vatican and the secrecy in handling funds have resulted in speculation about secrecy in its rituals or practices too. Accusations of covert rituals with satanic elements link such practices to the efforts of the Church to consolidate or extend its influence over followers. Often, such allegations relate the wealth and global reach of the Vatican to secretive networks operating beyond the public facade of the Church. Mysterious death of Pope John Paul I. The sudden death of Pope John Paul I, just 33 days into his papacy, remains one of the Vatican's most enduring mysteries. Officially attributed to a heart attack, his passing has been surrounded by speculation and conspiracy theories. Joe Rogan and other commentators have questioned the official narrative.
They're doing the government's work. The government's like, you're doing such a good job keeping these people in line. Here you go, free, no taxes, bro.
Noting that the Vatican's initial accounts were inconsistent and lacked transparency. The timing of his death, especially as he was reportedly preparing to implement significant reforms, has led many to suspect foul play. One of the most controversial aspects of Pope John Paul I's short tenure was his intention to confront corruption within the Vatican, particularly involving the Vatican Bank. It is widely believed that he was investigating alleged ties between the bank and the Italian mafia. His unexpected death has fueled speculation that he was silenced to protect powerful interests. Critics point out that there is no conclusive evidence to support the official explanation of a heart attack, and even the time and circumstances of his death remain disputed. Further adding to the intrigue are the considerations of the broader implications of Pope John Paul I's mission within the context of church reform. He was perceived as quite progressive in pushing for a review of long-standing matters of unscrupulous financial management and internal corruption. Some theorists hypothesize that he was slain by forces within the Vatican, imperiled by his reforms. Such claims remain unverified, but the absence of an autopsy and the Vatican's reticence in disclosing detail combine to deepen suspicion. God's banker. The mysterious death of Roberto Calvi, infamously known as God's banker, has long been linked to the Vatican and its financial dealings. Calvi, who was the head of Banco Ambrosiano, managed funds for both the Vatican and alleged mafia operations. In 1982, his body was found hanging, a chilling scene that was initially ruled as a case. However, further investigation revealed unsettling details. Bricks were found in his pockets, and the noose showed signs of external tampering, leading many to suspect foul play. Calvi's death has been widely speculated to involve his knowledge of financial irregularities between the Vatican and organized crime. Banco Ambrosiano had collapsed shortly before his death, leaving behind evidence of mismanagement and a significant shortfall of over $1 billion. Many believe that Calvi was silenced to prevent him from exposing the corrupt relationship between the Vatican Bank and the mafia. His death served as a warning to those who might threaten to reveal the extent of the Vatican's involvement in illegal financial activities. The Vatican has denied its interference in the case of Calvi's death, but the events surrounding it have undoubtedly cast a dark shadow over its normal financial practices. It was proved by events and documents that the Vatican Bank kept accounts unknown and possibly utilized for money laundering and other illicit acts. These revelations have given rise to conspiracy theories that Calvi finally got slain because he unwittingly learned many dealings in these secret accounts. After years of wild speculation, the case is still shrouded in mystery, as no one can be definitely pinpointed as accountable. Angels or alien? The Vatican's archives have long been rumored to contain secrets that could challenge conventional understanding of religion and the universe, and one of the most intriguing theories centers around the connection between angels and aliens. Joe Rogan and his guest, Billy Carson, discussed how the Vatican's vast collection of hidden knowledge
You have video footage of this?
It's on the episode. I sent it to Ancient Aliens, and
might include evidence suggesting that angels, as described in religious texts, could actually be extraterrestrial beings. This provocative idea stems from historical accounts of unexplained phenomena, such as glowing orbs or strange visitors, often interpreted as divine encounters, but potentially indicative of alien activity. Adding weight to these theories is the Vatican's own scientific interest in extraterrestrial life. The Church operates a telescope named Lucifer, specifically designed to search the cosmos for signs of life beyond Earth. This choice of name, meaning lightbringer, has drawn significant attention, with critics questioning whether it reflects deeper knowledge or motives. Rogan speculated that the Vatican's persistent exploration of alien life,
the black box audio and the black box redacted text statement from NASA, which is available to the general public,
could signify that it already possesses evidence of extraterrestrial encounters. If true, this would raise profound questions about the intersection of religion, science, and humanity's place in the cosmos. Carson has not limited himself to oral studies, but delves further into the historical records that feed into the intense debate today, linking today's accounts with those that date back to the 1800s, when nuns claimed to see strange orbs up in the skies. Those manifestations at that time were simply considered manifestations of divinity, but are now being reviewed within the definition of extraterrestrial. The reluctance of the Vatican to share with the outside world the treasure of information held by its archives has further deepened beliefs that the arch conclusion must be tuned to the great truth regarding the very identity of the contacts. Secret as it is, the scientists and researchers are now clamoring for more access to the archives, arguing that the knowledge contained can change humanity's perception of both spirituality and science. The fight for global power. The Vatican's influence extends far beyond its role as the spiritual center of Catholicism, leading many to believe it is actively engaged in a fight for global power. Joe Rogan has pointed out how the Vatican operates more like a political institution or corporation than a religious entity.
If you go to the Vatican, that's the real eye-opener. I went to the Vatican on an edible. As I'm walking around, I'm going, this is all.
Leveraging its diplomatic relationships and vast wealth to exert influence on a global scale. The Holy See's unique status as both a religious authority and a sovereign state enables it to wield unparalleled influence over political leaders and international affairs, often placing it in a position of superiority during high-level interactions. One of the key elements of this influence is the Vatican's immense financial resources, which critics argue are strategically used to consolidate power. With over 5,000 commercial properties worldwide and a reported profit of $50 million from its investment office in 2023 alone, the Vatican's financial empire raises questions about its priorities. These tax-free profits, combined with its secrecy regarding how funds are allocated, suggest a strategic effort to maintain and expand its global reach. Observers have speculated that these financial maneuvers could be part of a broader agenda to shape international policies and dynamics. The Vatican's ability to engage with almost all the countries of the world, while keeping a neutral stance on all global issues, enhances its position. This same neutrality often hides the degree to which the Vatican impacts the dictation of global narratives.
If you were like the ultimate horror fiction writer, like if Stephen King bought a house in the Hollywood Hills, that was his gate.
Rogan has described how this makes it so that the Vatican works in a space pregnant with power while keeping itself out of sight. Its silence on major political and social issues sometimes turns out to be by design, so that it can quietly support agendas that fit with its interests while being able to dodge the responsibility of accountability to the public. Prepare for the ultimate Vatican revelation. It's the one that will blow your mind. The Black Pope. The concept of the Black Pope refers to the leader of the Jesuits, a powerful religious order within the Catholic Church, and has long been the subject of speculation and conspiracy theories. Officially, the Black Pope, so named for the black clerical robes traditionally worn by Jesuits, holds authority only over members of the order. However, some theorists argue that the Black Pope wields significant influence behind the scenes, even surpassing the official Pope in power. This perception is fueled by the Jesuits' extensive global reach, their historical involvement in education, politics, and missionary work, and the secrecy that often surrounds their operations. One of the key arguments supporting these theories is that the Pope, as a public figure, might not have complete control over the Vatican's affairs. Instead, theorists suggest that true power resides with the Black Pope, who operates behind the scenes, away from public scrutiny.
The President of the United States is elected, and it depends on his popularity with the people and how well he sells his message.
This arrangement would allow the visible Pope to act as a figurehead, while decisions and strategies are quietly orchestrated by the Jesuit leader. The idea of such a hidden power dynamic raises questions about transparency and accountability within the Church's hierarchy. Distant critics and conspiracy theorists have linked the Black Pope to the wider accusations of the Catholic Church being involved in secret, sinister activities. Many people argue the peculiar Jesuit historical reputation for political intrigue and espionage provides credibility for the theory that the Black Pope might actually be calling the shots on the international level. There is, of course, no final evidence to this effect, as the secrecy of real Jesuit power within the Church keeps up fuel for theories beyond. Thanks for diving into these incredible Vatican secrets with us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a moment. And hey, don't stop now. Click on the next video shown on your screen for even more mind-blowing content. We'll see you there.